Air squat is the most fundamental movement we have. So we're going to go through the what, the why, the how, and the most common problems that we see when air squatting. So we're going to set up with our feet hip width apart. Depending on how long your legs are might determine how far apart your feet go, but essentially underneath your hips is the perfect stance. So the first thing we want to focus on is making sure we've got our weight evenly distributed throughout our foot. So that means toes, midfoot, and the heels. So the first movement, we're going to drive our bum back, create a hip hinge, and pause there. What we can do to counterweight is use our arms out in front, counterweight the body, and then we're trying to externally rotate from our knees to create torque through the hips. What we don't want to see is anyone lifting the toes. We want to make sure that we keep our toes driven through the floor to increase that force production. So from here, he's going to travel back and down all the way until you see his hip crease, break his knee line. So that's a full depth squat right there. The reason why we want to go full depth is because we want to increase that range of motion and produce force throughout the entire range. So from there, we're going to stand tall and we finish with a hip extension and knee extension. So let's just go one more rep, all the way down. Making sure that at the bottom, we see these knees are tracking over the middle toe. Show us a bad rep, Harry, so the knees would cave in. And the reason why we don't want to see the knees cave in is because, let's go back down again. When we're in the bottom position, if the knees are caving in, it means we're not switching on our glutes or we're super tight through the adductors. So being in that perfect position there, creating more torque through the hips is going to set us up for a perfect squat when we want to start loading it. So the most common problems we see with an air squat is A, people not getting deep enough, and B, caving through the knees. So what we're going to see, Harry, show us a non-depth squat. So the reason why people may not get full depth is because of their femur length compared to the tibia ratio, or they're just super tight through their ankles, or they could be super tight through the hips or knees. So the most common problem we see is go side on is not getting deep enough, so let's go there. So you probably see that if they've got tight ankles, so just straighten up those knees, they can't get deep enough because they can't get their knees in front of the toes far enough. So what we can do there is potentially grab a weight to counterweight so we can actually start to sink down, or making sure that we hinge early enough to get onto the heels so that we can actually get the weight distributed evenly and sit deeper into that squat. So the second most common fault would be knees caving on the way down, either through tight adductors or through having weak glutes. To show me an example of what a knee valgus would look like. So you can see here his knees are caving in towards the middle. What we want to do is try and get these driving out. So what you can do is just grab your elbows, chuck them on the inside of your knees, and then allow yourself to drive open those knees, and you'll start to see yourself sitting deeper into that squat.